Hi, my name is Mary Wong, and I'm a registered traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and acupuncturist. Welcome to my live post number 35. And tonight I am talking to you about a story of hope right out of my book Pathways to Pregnancy, which is unfortunately backwards, but it looks much better when you don't see it backwards. Anyway, I was trying to think of a story because fortunately we see lots of women and couples that come in and they can be quite sad and depressed, and or the other side of the coin, very anxious about trying to conceive and having a child. And what I found beneficial when I personally was going through issues was to literally witness my patients. Yes, I would see them really down and out and anxious, as I just mentioned, but I would also get to see them on the other side of it, which would be having a child one way or another. And there is no one cookie cutter method of having a child, but it does happen and miracles do happen. And when I witnessed that day in and day out, that allowed me to have hope in my personal journey, which was long and arduous. And so I just thought, wow, other people do not have this resource, because most of the time people are very quiet about it. Women and couples often don't even tell their family or friends. So that's why one of the reasons why I wrote my books, to provide real hope, because these are real life cases where they turn over, and you get to witness how they overcome their challenges one way or another. So tonight I'm going to highlight a story, and this is the story of Sherry and Daniel. And I did change their names just for the privacy reasons. But there was both male and female factor involved. And unfortunately, Sherry was 36 when she came to see me. And at that time, she was literally really, really devastated, because she had already had a failed IVF cycle. And I think the day she came to see me, she was crying because that same morning she went to see the reproductive endocrinologist, the fertility doctor. And he basically told her that she had the worst eggs he's ever seen. They were brown and shriveled. Like, how do you respond to that? How can you walk away feeling anything but bad, right? So I'm laughing now because the outcome is different. But I just was so sad that she was told that, because really what happens when you take that information and you internalize it like it's the truth, and yet really it's the eggs in that moment in time. And I explained this to Sherry, and she came in with her husband at the time, or with her husband because they're still together. And it was also found out that he had male factor. And in fact, his swimmers were poorly swimming. He had enough numbers, but they weren't doing so well. They were misshapen. They were doing back floats. They weren't swimming very well. Anyway, so that was the reason why they went to do IVF in the first place. But then when they saw her eggs and she wasn't responding as well, then they basically left him out of the equation and just kind of said it's her thing. Because even when it's male factor, oftentimes they'll just say, you know what, no worries, we'll just look under the microscope, look for that nice good looking sperm that swims fast in the right direction, and then you're good to go. And he's kind of left thinking, all right, I don't have to do anything. And yet this woman instead would feel very responsible. It's like, oh my goodness, I have to carry the load, I have to make sure I have good eggs. But then again, given that feedback about her eggs looking old and shriveled, really had her being very doubtful about her future. It looked grim. So I educated them both with regards to the cycle for both of them, because sperm develops literally from nothing, and it's about 90 days, so 3 months. So he came to see me, and the other woman, she also started seeing me regularly, initially twice a week, just to try to help the future eggs, because as you may or may not know, eggs also develop from a germ cell, a seed, that given the right environment, it can prosper and grow and develop into a beautiful blossoming egg, juicy egg. So that's what we were doing. And within 3 months, they did another round of IVF. And fortunately, this time the doctor says, "What did you do? Your eggs look beautiful." And so, looking at her lifestyle, changing her diet a little bit, and even things like, having a really stressful job and commuting over an hour for her job where she would have great responsibilities, increased a lot of stress. And so I suggested that she work from home. And so she did. A couple of days a week, she would work from home, and it gave her enough time to do some things for herself, like going out for walks into nature. And so, is it the acupuncture? Is it that she was able to release some stress? But of course, acupuncture also relieves stress. So all those things together impacted the health of her eggs, and they looked healthy. Now, in this case, it still resulted in a negative pregnancy through IVF, but yet she was hopeful because given that her eggs looked differently as she was 3 months older, had her realize this situation that it's not necessarily cold hard fact that every month your eggs are getting older. So we worked together some more, and she also needed a break from IVF. So instead of doing IVF, she just worked on decreasing her stress levels, getting her life back, and certainly she came in with this prize, and they ended up having a child naturally together without any assisted reproduction. And in their Western doctors' eyes, it was an absolute impossible mission because he had male factor and she had female, advanced maternal eggs, or premature ovarian failure was really what they were calling her. So the point of all this is that despite a diagnosis, things can change, and that change can be for the good, right, if you're doing the right things, or it can literally go the other way. So obviously if you're or maybe not obvious to some, but if you're smoking, drinking, having lots of coffee, and you don't, if you hate your life, hate your job, that might impact your eggs and sperm. And so I really invite you to alter your lifestyle, not in search of getting pregnant, but even just to feel better about yourself. And you never can tell what will happen, and receptivity can open up and allow you to receive life and allow sperm to grow and develop in a way that can actually penetrate it by itself. And this is what happened to this couple. So I surmise that this is more than just one couple, and certainly we see that on a regular basis. So in about a month or so, I'll provide another story of hope, but this one comes straight out of my book, Pathways to Pregnancy, so please check it out. I want to acknowledge that in May, it's going to be the Canadian Infertility Awareness Week, but in the United States, for some reason, it's set at a different time, so it's the last week of April is the National Infertility Awareness Week in the U.S. Now, the other thing I want to say is that I don't love it that we are celebrating infertility awareness. I think I want to create more of a campaign for Fertility Awareness Week versus Infertility Awareness Week. And for those that already know me, I just don't really buy into the word infertility because it could be a transient place to be versus a prison sentence, right? So just think of, if you're having challenges at the moment, think of it that it is in the moment and that perhaps we can overcome it. And there are lots of things that you can do and how we be, which can impact our cells right down to our gonads. So that's it for me, signing off for now. And so check out my post next Wednesday. My intention was to do a recipe of boiled cabbage, which helps to take care of bloating, as well as prevention of ovarian hyperstimulation when someone does in vitro fertilization, which is fertilization outside in a Petri dish. So check that out. That's next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And however, there's a possibility I might have to work a little late. And if that's the case, I might have to change it to a little later that same evening. Or I just do a different topic that same night, okay? Because I need a kitchen, and if I'm working, there's no kitchen here. So either way, it'll be worth your while. So check it out Wednesday, next Wednesday, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And pick up my book, Pathways to Pregnancy. Check out my other posts, and check out my website, marywong.life, and our clinic. See our awesome practitioners, which is at aliveholistichealth.ca. Thanks. Have a good night. Bye.